Hi, my name is Boucher, and I'm from the James Hutton Institute, and I'm presenting today on a method called MuSIASEM, which is a multi-scale integrated analysis of societal and ecosystem metabolism. So the goal of this project is to use MuSIASEM to test Scotland's green recovery and net zero goals. In short, what has Scotland been saying, and what have they been doing, and can I use MuSIASEM to test whether the walk is matching the talk? At its origins, MuSIASEM is an attempt to tackle system complexity and also to look at multiple scales vertically and across scales horizontally, integrating different domains. The assumption is there's a biophysical world out there, and how does it relate to society and society relate to this world? And it's wary of economics due to its poor correlation to much of anything environmental, except perhaps the impacts themselves. So let's begin by talking about metabolism. We can take this example of a human being as an organism and look at its anabolic and catabolic processes of its metabolism. In catabolism, foods get broken down into fats, proteins, carbohydrates, minerals. These different types of resources are then used by the body for daily activities, self-maintenance, and reproduction. So for MuSIASEM, we could look at any society like an organism and analyze it that way. And we're going to split this organism into its anabolic and catabolic processes, the household and the paid work sector respectively. The paid work sector, it breaks down resources into materials and energy, and the household sector uses those resources. Then I can take the paid work sector and break it down into standard industrial classifications, as if they're the organs of society transforming resources into materials for the household. And here we can see the different types of materials and energy that have been transformed by the paid work sector, and in turn these are also used by all the sectors themselves. So on this slide I'm using data for the United Kingdom in 2019. This is pre-Brexit and pre-COVID. And I have the materials and energies across the horizontal axis, and I have the different sectors on the vertical axis. And I'm using United Kingdom because I couldn't get all the data for Scotland. So this is all of society. These are the hours of activity. This is the total number of people times 24 hours a day times 365 days a year. And then we split that into the household sector and the paid work sector. And this is from survey data of how much time people have been spending at work. And then I open up the paid work sector, like opening a black box, into the different sectors here, as we already illustrated. And these are the hours people are spending there in that time. Over here I have the gross value added, so this is GDP, and this is how it comes from different sectors. And then these are different energies, electricity, heat, and fuels that are being used by these different sectors. And this is the metabolic part of the table, where we divide these values by the hours. So it's according to labor allocation, not necessarily according to pounds or an economic value. Here we have greenhouse gases. So if we're shooting for net zero, we're going to want to drop all these to zero. And then what's going to happen over here when we drop these to zero, if we can do that? What's going to happen to electricity, heat, fuels? What's going to happen to workers? You know, how might this inform a just transition? And over here I have the different kind of greenhouse gas intensities, how they're coupled against either different energy or human hours of labor or an economic value like the pound. And I have some other calculations here also. I'm trying to also add water and land into my data here, so I'm looking for that data. And this also does not include borders, so what gets imported and exported from the United Kingdom. So in this slide, I'm showing how MuSIASEM helps us see particular highlights. For instance, here we see transportation and energy sectors are very high in energy intensity, but it's for different reasons. One's for fuels, transportation, and the other is for heat and energy and fuel production. We see that the economic job productivity value is quite high in energy and fuel production. That's the gross value added per hour of labor. But it's also very high in greenhouse gas intensities. And we see over here that the commercial and public administration are very low in greenhouse gas intensity. So might we think of maybe we want to move more workers there into those areas if we can. And we see agriculture is extremely high in greenhouse gases intensities. We know that as soon as you start turning the soil, you're emitting these things. So we can see how MuSIASEM shows us how different sectors need different sort of treatments if we're going to go to net zero. So at a glance, MuSIASEM can illustrate relations and trade-offs at multiple scales and across different domains. So it's a superior framework for which complex policy decisions should be made. And it improves our understanding of relations between the biophysical world and societies. Thanks everyone for listening. I'm happy to get comments and critique, and I'm looking for collaborators. So thank you. Bye.